One of Tesla's reputations at this point is for delivering cars with some issues. Quality control has gone through its struggles over the years, and I had a pretty rough experience when I bought my original Model Y in early 2020. Now, after over 500,000 produced at their Fremont factory, I upgraded to a new 2022 Model Y. So today we're going to talk about any issues I have found with this car, because most things have improved across the board at Tesla. After all, this car now starts at $65,900, so issues should especially not be present on a car this expensive. There's a few things to talk about, so let's get into it. And a special thanks to Narwal for sponsoring a portion of this video. I took delivery of this new 2022 Model Y 4 weeks ago now. I've put a little over 1,000 miles on the car, so that's definitely enough to discover any frustrating rattles or squeaks that came from the factory. Certain bigger things may not pop up until 5,000 or 10,000 miles, so I'll report back once I get there. When I picked up the car, it was in really great condition. An interesting thing was that I had to accept delivery before I could go into the car, but to my surprise, I found no issues of note at delivery or immediately after I got in the car. I say this is to my surprise because this is the first time after 4 different Tesla vehicle deliveries that I had nothing of note at delivery. Even the Plaid Model S I bought in 2021 came with a few issues and a dented front bumper, so I'm really glad to see this change from Tesla, at least on this particular car. The main issues that people tend to see with Tesla's vehicles at this point are interior rattles or squeaks, exterior panel misalignments, and paint defects. These particular photos are from late 2020, and sometimes vehicles are just delivered dirty, with dirty handprints or other marks present in this brand new interior. Bigger issues can happen, but we're not seeing them pop up regularly. One bigger issue I had with my Model Y in 2020, for example, was an annoying thing where the front trunk sensor would think that it was open, and it wasn't. It would flash at me constantly and force me out of autopilot. Funny enough, I then had this same issue on my 2021 Model S, but again, I haven't seen this happening regularly to customers since my issue was fixed. All that to say, I was expecting that I'd face some of these issues with my new Model Y. I bought it because the technology in the car, the way it drives, and much more make it my favorite car to drive, but it can be frustrating when you take delivery of an expensive car like this and face issues right out the gate. So after 1,000 miles in my 2022 Model Y, I'm happy to report that as far as misalignments, rattles, squeaks, or paint defects are concerned, there are none to report. Technically, if you took a microscope to the paint or the panel gaps, I'm sure it wouldn't be perfect or up to everyone's standard, but it's nothing that bothers me as someone who just plans to use this car. When I drive, it's not a perfectly quiet environment inside, and we'll get to that more in a minute, but I don't hear any rattles or squeaks like I had in my 2020 Model Y. It's one of the best Teslas I've seen, and I'm hopeful that this is an indication of Tesla's build quality improving overall. With that said, I do have a few things to report about with this car. First off, the ride quality is significantly better than my 2020 Model Y. As I mentioned in my initial video with this updated Model Y, it's a night and day difference. Ride quality was so rough in the original Model Y that I sometimes wondered why people were buying this car in such large quantities. It was the harshest ride I had ever experienced in a car, but I now see that Tesla has improved this massively. It's a much softer ride that doesn't bother me at all. At the same time though, it's also not perfect. There are plenty of SUVs out there that ride softer than this. This is in no way an equal comparison, but I'm currently switching back and forth between this and a Rivian R1T. The R1T is a truck, has air suspension, and massive tires, so those are huge differences, but when I've driven that for a bit and then get in the Model Y, it's a very big difference. So the Model Y's ride quality is not an issue, and it's a huge improvement over the past, but don't expect it to be the most luxurious ride ever. There are other SUVs the same size that are smoother. As far as wind and road noise are concerned as well, this has improved a ton over previous years. This is likely achieved with better build, but also the dual pane windows that help block more sound. It's a big improvement over previous years, but still not perfect. On the freeway, there's a decent amount of road noise, likely coming from the tires. I find myself turning up music just a touch louder, but when I do so, it drowns it out pretty well, and it's basically a quiet environment. If I'm trying to have a conversation though, it's noticeable that I'm talking over the road noise just a bit. That's probably standard for most cars, but the bigger thing here is the low rumble. On the freeway, once you go over about 50 miles per hour, there's a very obvious low rumble coming from the rear of the car. This is partially unavoidable in a hatchback because there is no separation from the trunk of the car. It's part of what makes the car so versatile with storage space, but in a car like the Model 3 with the cabin truly closed off from the trunk, you don't get that noise. Again, quickly comparing to the R1T, which again isn't fair at all, it's a big difference. difference, and that low rumble is immediately noticeable in the Model Y. I was hoping the addition of the cargo cover would drown this out a bit, but so far it hasn't. I even reclined the seats to line it up with the cargo cover entirely to try to eliminate that gap, and still hear the rumble at the same level. Again, this isn't an issue as much as it is something to know about the design of this car. Next up are a couple things brought with Tesla's change to Tesla Vision. Back in May of 2021, Tesla stopped including radar sensors in their car in favor of Tesla Vision. This means that autopilot only uses the cameras, and as a result, there are a couple changes to the system. Auto brights and auto wipers are required when using autopilot, and the top speed is now reduced to 85 miles per hour. That top speed doesn't bother me at all, but the auto wipers and auto brights have been giving me some significantly annoying issues. To my knowledge here as well, this isn't an issue with my particular car, but with Tesla's system as a whole. I'm pretty sure if I bought another Model Y and drove the same routes I was driving, I would have the exact same issues. The other night I was driving home from Bakersfield on the freeway, and the auto brights kept flashing the road. It would quickly turn on, see a car, and then turn off. Then it would do the same thing maybe 20 seconds later. These are a few clips of it happening, but it was happening for the majority of the drive on this section of freeway. Ultimately, I just stopped using autopilot because it kept flashing brights at people, and if I wanted to use autopilot, I had to keep this on. This is a significant downgrade from my autopilot system in the 2020 Model Y, which used radar. No auto brights were required there, so I would just never turn them on. They're very sensitive auto brights, and now they are forced to be on with autopilot. At the same time, there's auto wipers. I was also driving at night with not a drop of rain in sight, and the wipers would go every 10 seconds or so when on autopilot. I figured this might be because there was dirt on the cameras it was trying to clear. Again, I can't turn off auto wipers if I want to use autopilot, so I had to decide, keep using autopilot and the wipers are just constantly wiping for no reason, or just stop using autopilot. I just opted to drive myself. Those are two separate scenarios where autopilot is frustrating and unusable for me. These are new issues brought with Tesla Vision, and it's really unfortunate to see. I talked in depth about this last week, but Tesla is now removing all 12 ultrasonic sensors around the car in favor of Tesla Vision next. Based on my experience with Tesla Vision for autopilot, I'm actually pretty concerned about that change, so we'll have to see how that turns out. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Narwal. The Narwal Frio is their new and improved self-cleaning robot that sweeps and mops your floors at the touch of a button. With just one click, the robot will sweep, mop, build a map, and return to its station. This clean and effective vacuum has 5 modes to choose from as well, depending on your vacuuming and mopping needs. While it's vacuuming, it lifts the mop and brush to avoid spreading messes. It even twists to get into tight spaces like wall edges. To prevent recontaminating your floors, it plans out its route, starts with the room that's farthest from its base, and overlaps its path to make sure it gets everything. The whole process is a smart experience. It can auto-detect when the mop is dirty and return to its base to wash and dry itself before picking up right where it left off. Under Frio mode, it can adjust pressure and humidity for different floor types like wood versus tile. Frio's humanized design is super quiet, has an LCD touchscreen, and can be controlled via the Narwal app. This new design also makes maintenance more convenient with a removable cleaning tray and won them the European Product Design Award 2022 for its versatility. To check out the Narwal Frio for yourself, click the link in the description below. Again, these aren't the normal, quote, issues you see with a Tesla, but they are problems that are frustrating to deal with and on Teslas now. You very well may have them in your Model Y because these are changes Tesla is making to the technology in the cars. Next up is an issue I've been having with scheduled charging. A big thing with electric cars is that you charge them during off-peak hours. This is pretty standard practice across the board for most people, and it's why it's not a big deal if California asks people to limit electrical usage during these hours. For myself, my rates are higher from 4 to 9 p.m., and lower the rest of the time because I have a specific electric vehicle plan. It incentivizes me to charge off-peak. So when I get home, whatever time of day, I plug in my car, and it's scheduled to charge at 9 p.m. when rates are cheaper. The next morning, the car is good to go. This has worked great for me for years with Teslas, but for some reason, this new Model Y just won't keep my schedule. I have been troubleshooting this for a couple weeks now. I'll try scheduling the charging hours in the car on screen, which is easy to do, but then 15 minutes later, the car is charging. Here you can see it says scheduled charge at this location is 10 p.m. It's 5:20 p.m. and the car is charging. I'll do the same from the app and try scheduled departure or scheduled charging, and 15 minutes later, the car is charging, no matter what time it is. It'll be charging at 5 p.m. during peak hours when I'm being charged 50 or 54 cents per kilowatt hour. That's more expensive than Tesla superchargers and nearly approaching the cost of gas. It's also a little over double what my cost is off peak. For some reason, my new Model Y refuses to stay off peak. I've rebooted the car, logged logged out of the app on my phone and my wife's, updated the software, removed and added my home address on screen, updated my energy plan within the app, and more. Nothing is fixing the issue, so I just don't plug in right now until I'm off peak. I even sat with the app after rescheduling charging for 9 p.m. and setting my charge limit below what the car was at. I figured I could bypass this issue by plugging in, setting a low charge limit, and then bumping up the charge limit from the app after 9 p.m. I did this and then screen recorded. After a few minutes, the app showed the charge limit increasing to 75% on its own, and then the car started charging. So I went outside and unplugged the car. It's a significant bug that is legitimately costing me money and takes some of the simplicity of charging an EV away from this car. I'm hoping for a software update that will fix this, but I'll probably need to call Tesla charging support soon if this isn't fixed. Now, another issue that has been widely reported with Tesla Vision is phantom braking. Interestingly for myself, I've only experienced this twice with my new Model Y, and it hasn't been worrisome. The braking wasn't braking for any reason still, but it only dropped 5 to 10 miles per hour and did so gently. I've heard reports of much worse phantom braking, so I'll be looking out for that. I'm glad I'm not experiencing it in this particular Model Y yet. The unfortunate thing about it though is that it happens with any form of autopilot usage, adaptive cruise control or auto steer, and there is no dumb cruise control available in a Tesla. So if this is a regular issue for you in your particular area, then there's really not a good cruise control option. Another issue that has been reported on a few Model Ys as well is a high-pitched whining sound coming from the rear motor during certain speeds. A number of people are having this issue, including YouTubers, and there have been mixed experiences getting it fixed. Luckily, I have not had this on my car, and I've driven it at all the speeds where it is reportedly popping up. I'm also extremely sensitive to noises, so it's not like it's there and I just haven't noticed it. It is definitely not in my car. One thing that is odd with my car, though, is the way Tesla doesn't update their website to tell you what specs you are getting. I purchased the white interior, and still on Tesla's website, they show the interior including these large white panels on the doors. I think this is a particular touch of the white interior that looks really great, and it used to be there in both the front and rear seats. Now Tesla changed this to a much smaller white styling. They now extend the trim from the dash into the same location on the door, and the side panel is black. More part simplification for them. I like the new look extending the dash, but didn't fully realize until taking delivery that it eliminated the bigger panels. It's a very odd thing to me that when you buy a Tesla, you truly don't know what specs you are getting exactly. I didn't know if I would get the cargo cover or how the white interior would actually look until I took delivery. At that point, if I hated the look because it didn't match the current website, the only option is to reject delivery, reverse payment, insurance, and more. It's a big hassle and to me, obviously not worth reversing anything for. Still, I wish it was communicated at least. The main area I wish the white extended into is the rear, like Tesla's renders show. Instead, these door panels are just black now. The renders for the black and white interior are both wrong on Tesla's website, and there's no indication of the car coming with a cargo cover, matrix headlights, or anything else like that. Just an odd practice in my opinion. Funny enough, as often happens with Tesla since they're constantly changing things, they updated their website just hours after I filmed this part of the video. The website now shows the new door trim for the Model Y, as well as the elimination of the larger white panels in front and rear. So I'm glad to see this updated, but it still affected my particular experience. Now, the other issue with Tesla that I've experienced a lot is communication. Throughout my purchase process, I never actually heard from a human being. I ordered online, got various delivery estimates in my account, which kept getting pushed back, got a text to say I had a VIN, scheduled my delivery online, and was notified via text message that my delivery was delayed a day. I tried texting back that I needed to update my delivery address, but didn't hear back, so I tried a few different Tesla numbers. Most were automated and told me to use the app, but finally I was able to connect with someone by calling a Tesla store location and pressing the right combination of menu buttons. They updated my address easily there, but it just didn't feel very welcoming that it was that hard to get on the phone with them. The same is the case with service. Tesla service is handled entirely in-app. It's great to be able to use an app to add your issues in, but if your car comes with issues that need fixing at delivery, you again can't speak with a human being. You schedule an appointment in the app, and then we'll get periodic updates there, seemingly at random. I just had an experience where I took my Model S in for service. One item that needed fixing was the yoke, which was peeling. This is a known issue with the refreshed Model S, and I accepted an estimate for $0 covering all the repairs under warranty. 24 hours before my appointment, this invoice updated to show the full cost of the yoke replacement. It also asked me to approve this estimate. Ultimately, Tesla did fix this for free, but then when I needed to use my Uber credits to get back to the appointment, they had expired. They fixed that too after a couple hours, but it's a system that's set up to be seamless and isn't seamless. Communication with them is never fun. It makes the fact that my Model Y came with no immediate issues that much better. It's one thing if it comes with issues that need fixing and it's really easy to get service done, but it's another if it's a hassle to communicate with them to get the issues fixed on your brand new expensive car. Elon Musk has talked a lot about improving service lately, so I really hope they do work on this. I understand the need to eliminate unnecessary phone calls, but rarely hearing from anyone at the company and having to jump through so many hoops in order to get on the phone with anyone is definitely frustrating. Overall, I'm happy to report that I don't have issues needing Tesla service with my car yet. As you saw, I do have some issues with the car, but they are related to the updated technology Tesla is now shipping. Improvements there should come with software updates over time, and I really hope those things do improve. Bringing them up like this is good for potential buyers to see, but hopefully for Tesla to see as well as they iterate on different software versions. If you bought a new Model Y though, do you have any of these issues or do you have other ones? Leave a comment below to let me know. Some people take delivery of their Tesla and it's perfect and they think Tesla has fixed issues forever, while others feel the opposite way. In the meantime, if you want to see my first impressions of the Rivian R1T after taking delivery there, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.